This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya, from the Photo School of Government. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines you may have missed this morning. But we also take a look at some of the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 6th of October, 2022. And I am 2M.
And I am MC Squared.
And I am AX. In case you missed the headlines, here they are. In the Daily Nation, why Ruto is fighting to control Parliament. In the Standard, Azimio in a spin after Ruto's lunch meeting. In the Star, how governors spent billions on wrong priorities. And in the People Daily, Uganda sorry as Ruto visits. Now, obviously, as you know, we will be discussing these headlines in time, but allow us to begin with our submissions and I will be kicking us off. Now, within Ruto's cabinet, there is one role that confuses me, and that is the role of Chief Minister. This role confuses me for two reasons. First, the role itself, and second, the person it was given to. First, chief ministers are a mainstay of parliamentary systems of government. This is a system where the National Assembly makes and carries out the laws, rather than our current presidential system, where the MPs make the law, but the executive department or branch of government carries them out. And in parliamentary systems, a chief minister can act as a deputy president. They are second in command to the prime minister. This means that if something were to happen to the prime minister, the chief minister could become the new PM, just like a deputy president. But Kenya does not have a parliamentary system. We have a presidential system. So what is a chief minister supposed to do when we already have a deputy president? What purpose are they serving? Now, the second reason that the chief minister position confuses me is that it was given to Mudavadi. As Tujay said on Tuesday, President Ruto assigned cabinet seats to those who served him loyally and delivered. Yet, what exactly did Mudavadi bring to the table? Certainly not 70% of Western, or rather the Western region that he owed Ruto. In fact, for every vote Ruto received in Mudavadi's home county of Vihiga, Raila got close to 2. So what is Mudavadi doing in cabinet? Why did Ruto uphold his end of the deal, even though he did not have to because Mudavadi failed to deliver? Very important questions. What is going on here? And I have a theory, and my theory is, of course, informed by history. In 2018, President Uhuru Kenyatta appointed Super CS Matiang'i as chief minister. Even though the constitution does not envision such a position, nor does it give the president the power to create such a position. Nevertheless, for President Kenyatta, it was necessary. He had a rogue deputy, then DP Ruto, and he needed to find a way to cut him off at the knees. Since he could not be fired, as the DP role is an elective position, President Kenyatta changed what it meant to be a deputy. He said, you can have the title, but none of the responsibility and subsequently none of the power. And so he transferred the powers of a deputy to an individual who serves at the will of the president. DP Ruto was therefore stripped of major responsibilities, becoming about as integral to the business of government as a wet blanket in cold weather. Now, is this what Ruto is doing? Is this what he is trying to do to DP Riggy G? Is he doing what Uhuru did to him? Is he fixing him by using the chief minister Mudavadi? I think so. And it is clear from how the roles have been defined. There is no difference between Riggy G's role to supervise the implementation of development partner funded programs and projects and Mudavadi's role to supervise the technical monitoring and evaluation of government projects. Don't let the Kizungu Kimingi fool you, they're the same thing. But I also believe that Ruto is resuscitating BBI. Not all at once, but piece by piece, like a parent trying to trick the child into eating vegetables. He knows that BBI is good. The existence of the chief minister role, despite President Ruto's promise to follow the letter and spirit of the law, is proof of this. So, if this part of BBI is making a comeback, what else is said to make an unceremonious return?
Very interesting.
Good questions.
Good questions.
Yesterday, remember, we told you that the first test for the Ruto administration will be economic stability. Ruto is a man faced with tough choices for country, and especially choices on money. While he promised rice and chicken, now he must deal with very cold and forgiving facts of our economy. And it seems Ruto has faced the task head-on. When he was sworn in, his first move was to scrap the fuel subsidy. Fuel went up from 159 shillings to 179, an increase of 20 shillings.
Yes.
Ruto said that the subsidies would have cost the country 280 billion shillings in 8 months, a figure higher than Kenya's expenditure on development projects. Move number 2. Ruto directed a reduction of government spending by 300 billion shillings. This amounts to over 80% of the funds that we allocate to our counties per year. And move number 3. Interest rates have gone up from 7.5% to 8.25%, a move that helps to fight inflation.
Right.
And these moves by the president appear to put more burdens on Mama Mboga. It seems as if Ruto is behaving like Rehoboam, the 4th king of Israel.
Okay.
When King Solomon died, the people came to Rehoboam, his son. The hustlers in Israel told Rehoboam to lighten their burdens and bring down the cost of living.
Okay.
If he did that, they told him they would always vote for him. But Rehoboam, instead of easing their burdens, he doubled them. And the hustlers in Israel suffered. Like Rehoboam, the hustlers tasked Ruto with reducing the cost of living. As therefore Ruto behaved like Rehoboam and doubled our burdens. In our view, actually, no. Whereas Rehoboam doubled the people's burden because of useless advisors and a wicked spirit, Ruto is a man trying to make country live within its means. And when you put all of his recent moves together, that is the scrapping of the fuel subsidy, ordering a reduction in government spending, and increasing interest rates, the adjustment that Ruto is trying to achieve means Kenyans will have to bear more burdens, but in the short term.
Okay.
It means less money in our pockets. But in the long term, it will mean a stable economy.
Okay.
But I would like to remind President Ruto one thing. Your Excellency, the French Revolution was largely caused by a lack of bread.
Indeed.
Although your decisions are good for country, in politics, man lives by bread alone.
Amen. Amen.
Oh, fantastic. Now, this Thursday, we want to ask country if there is a plot to have President William Ruto rule past 2032. This thought is inspired by George Orwell when he said, "No one ever seizes power with the intention of relinquishing it. Power is not a means, it is an end.
Yeah.
One does not establish a dictatorship in order to safeguard a revolution. One makes the revolution in order to establish the dictatorship." Think what you may, but the Hustler Nation was a revolution Ruto needed to climb to power. But it is not what he will need to remain in power. And this leads me back to my thought. Does Ruto intend to stay in power beyond 2032? And if he does, how will he do it? In my view, if President Ruto wants to rule beyond 2032, he must switch to a parliamentary system. And this simply means he must change the constitution. Now, consider this hypothesis. It is called the Putin to democracy hypothesis.
Okay.
When Russian President Vladimir Putin was first elected into office in the year 2000, Russia's constitution pegged presidential term limits to 2 4-year terms. This meant that Putin could only serve for a maximum of 8 years. But Putin had a plan. At the end of his term in 2008, he did 2 things. One, he endorsed his deputy prime minister, Dmitry Medvedev, for president in the 2008 presidential election. And 2, he got the Russian parliament to amend the constitution and extend presidential term limits from 4 years per term to 6 years per term. Now, this technically meant that instead of serving a maximum of 8 years, Putin was to serve a maximum of 12 years. And therefore, his term should have ended in 2012 and not 2008. But more importantly, it meant Putin had not served 1 full term and was eligible to run again. Genius.
Wow.
Anyway, Medvedev became president, then immediately appointed Putin as his prime minister. At the time, Putin had control of the executive and parliament. In fact, he was the de facto head of government. In 2012, Putin was elected president. He was again re-elected in 2018 and somehow got the Russian parliament to change the law and keep him in power until 2036.
Wow.
What's our point here? Could William Ruto be using the Putin map? William Ruto may just become executive prime minister just after 2027. Like Putin's first term, he may just endorse Alice Wahome for president, and by virtue of having a majority in parliament, appoint himself executive prime minister. Assuming by then the constitution would have been changed to have a parliamentary system and that the presidency will have extended or no term limit. Question is this scenario far-fetched?
Yeah.
If Ruto plotted for 2022 back in 2012, he cannot be simply thinking of 2027.
Yeah.
He should be thinking 10 plus years. Put differently, if Ruto is obsessed with a parliamentary majority, it is not because he wants to give Kikuyus fertilizer and deliver Hustler Fund. It is because no one ever seizes power with the intention of relinquishing it.
Yeah.
Power is not a means, it is an end. And if this is Ruto's plan, then it is genius.
And on that note of genius, unfortunately, we must turn to the headlines. Now, as you know, we have a three-part criteria that we use to judge the headlines.
Yeah.
We ask ourselves three questions. Is the headline topical or speculative, repetitive or groundbreaking, thoughtful or just plain lazy? Let me remind you what the headlines are, just in case you forgot. The Daily Nation, why Ruto is fighting to control parliament. The Standard, Azimio in a spin after Ruto's lunch meeting. The Star, how governors spent billions on wrong priorities. And finally, the People Daily, Uganda sorry as Ruto visits. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm leaning more towards the Daily Nation.
Daily Nation, winning headline, it makes a lot more sense.
Daily
Yes,
Nation,
it
all
does.
right,
Very
with pleasure. Now, as you know, we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country, and we also have a three-part criteria that we use to judge them. We ask ourselves three questions. Are the cartoons humorous or dry, satirical or pessimistic, effective or just plain lazy? I'm not feeling this cartoon.
They're all rubbish.
I'm not really feeling them at all. So there you have it. We have absolutely no winning cartoon, and our winning headline is the Daily Nation. Now, before you go, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we are also on your TV screens. You can find us on Pang Free to Air, GoTV, and Star Times. And on that note, have a lovely evening.
God bless.